Good morning, traders. It's Trader Rob. We are live, second day. Actually, pretty excited with the stream yesterday. Had a few just really small technical glitches, but I think overall um, it went pretty smooth. So, hoping I get the same result here today. Did do a few adjustments to the mic, so hopefully you guys can hear me nice and clear, and the background music's at a good decibel. All right, so we've markets open. Obviously, we had some high impact news this morning at 7:30. Let's see, what report was that had come out? That was the Philly Fed Business Index at 7:30. I don't know. To me, it seems like there's been a few new high impact news of reports that I've seen this month that I don't think I've seen in the past. But we did get a little bit of volatility, but really nothing crazy. All right, so let's kind of map out here. Let's start with the ES. I already got obviously this little zone right up here that's got some high liquidity, high volume sitting right in it. So I'm gonna try to see let's see what I can find here on as far as some TPs. We've got, all right, this looks like a good one right here. Let's pop this guy in as a TP. So what I'm looking at on the ES is the 67.88 for a possible entry short. First target being at the 67.85, so targeting about 3 points, which generally is about my average, I would say, TP1 on the ES. That's seems to be a pretty decent sweet spot. And then as far as a TP2, something that looks very realistic would be at the 67.83. Let's see what that looks like here. Yeah, at the 67.83 looks like another decent TP2 target. So that would be a trade of about 5 points. And as far as a stop loss, we'd be sitting pretty much right above this node right here. So you get the protection of the high volume right here. That's the basic premise of my strategy, is using volume to pretty much formulate everything: my stop loss, my entry, and my take profits. So I can delete that right there. All right, so that's a first setup that we've got mapped out on the ES here. Entry at the 67.88 for a short down to TP1 at 67.85, TP2 67.83.25. So every tick matters. All right, so that's to the upside. Let's see what else we might have here. To the downside, we've got an area right here that looks very interesting. Where is it at? It's around the 66. So right here, okay. Let's bring this down just a tad. Okay. So as you guys can see, this is where again, we get a pretty high volume node. I would really like to be targeting something up here. Essentially, that's what I would be wanting to target. And as you can see, we've got a pretty nice free-flowing, obviously TPs would go somewhere right around here where it's free-flowing back to the left. So, again, I use this analogy a lot. If you're looking at the volume profile and you were to, if it was to be a waterfall, okay, you'd have water coming out and then you'd have water getting resistance right here. Water would free flow pretty quickly, again, get resistance right here. Water would flow again very quickly and then start getting resistance again here. This is where it would start to, get its ripples, and it's kind of like a little mini dam, which is, I guess, the best analogy I can give you, using the water analogy that I use actually quite often. And then as far as some some targets on the take profit. Let's see. Sorry. That's not. All right, let's take a look at some take profits here. To the downside. All right, we got a few little areas here that seem pretty interesting to me. So the first one would sit right there. Again, that would be my, this would be my TP. I'm sorry, this would be my entry. Let's change that. All right, so my entry that I would be looking at would be at the 66.75.50. 66.75.50. As far as a TP1, I see one right here. And that would be TP1 at the 66.79. So again, this would be roughly 3 points. And then TP2, probably, well, I mean, if you wanted to get really crazy, you could probably make a case for one right up here. TP2 at the 66.82. Seems like a pretty logical spot. And then as far as my stop loss, so this one is going to be sitting right around here. Now I'm going to show you guys what the issue might be with this guy. All right. So this stop loss right here at the 66.69 on the ES would be, you know, to be honest with you, a stop loss somewhere, I would say, right underneath there. Let me just pop this one in as well. All right, so on this setup on the ES, I'm looking for a long. Again, the entry would be at the 66.75, targeting the 66.79 and the 66.82. My stop loss would be, my initial stop loss would be at the 66.69.50. To be a very safe stop loss, again, this is kind of, it's a little bit bigger of a stop loss than I would normally like to see on my trades, so I would probably still keep it right here. But a very, very safe one would be at the 66.67, okay, which would be right down there. So that's what I see right now on the ES. We've got two setups that we have identified. A short at the 67.88 and a long at the 66.75. And then let me just make sure there's nothing else on the ES before I pop over to the NQ. Nope, that's what looks the cleanest to me right now. And now let's start with the NQ. All right. NQ's been a little sloppy here this morning. This is not been the best price action as of right now. All right, to the upside. Let's start with the upside here. I've got an area that I kind of already had marked out on this high volume node, the start of this high volume node, which seems to always be your best spots to start. When you're looking at the volume profile, at least, that's where you know you're going to get that initial reaction. Let's see what I can find for an entry or a take profit here. Let's see what we see. All right, so entry could be right at the 25,173.50. Load entry. Okay, so 25,173.50 would be something I would be looking at. Stop loss would be right here, which is going to sit at the 25,183. So about 10 points of stop on that one. And then as far as a TP, we've got a pretty easy one, I would assume. And this would be at the 25,166. And then TP2 load. Okay, so let me expand this out here a little bit so you guys can see it easier on your screen. All right, so the setup on the NQ that looks pretty favorable right now to me would be an entry to go short at the 25,173.50. TP1 would be at the 25,166. And TP2 would be at the 25,163. So we'd be targeting about 13 points on TP1 and about 16 points on TP2. Let's bring this down just a little bit here. All right, so that would be setup number 1. Got an area up here in this 25,234 that looked interesting to me as well. Let me see what... So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this might have been the origination of some kind of either headline, or it was a big move to the downside right there, right at this, what is it, the 25,231 area. And sometimes those big headline spikes are not exactly... We're always looking to break structure on our levels and our trades here, but you also kind of have to be a little bit careful with the movements that come out of headline news. Sometimes they're not... they're just not as A+ as I would like to see. But I already see a TP1 here. So right there. Okay, let's load this one. This would be a TP. Let's mark our entry. That's important. Right there. Don't need this box anymore. Load entry. All right, so another setup on the NQ would be a short at the 25,231.50. 25,231.50. And a stop loss be right here. What about those setups from yesterday? I mean, that was absolute banger. I think I gave you guys about 6 setups in total that I left up on my charts for you guys. And 4 out of the 5 hit TP1 and TP2, which was pretty damn impressive. which I guess kind of equals out to about an 85% win rate. And I'd like to stay above 75. That's kind of it's always been the goal. All right, and then TP2 seems pretty. All right, so let's expand these out just so you guys can see them a little easier. All right, so first setup, remember, on the NQ, we're looking for a short at the 25,173, targeting the 25,166. We've got another entry at the 25,231, targeting the 25,222 as my take profit one. So those would be two setups that I like here on the NQ as far as to the upside. And then to the downside, let's take a look at that and see what we can see here. All right, nice little push here. That left some movement there. Just kind of already tapped into it here. Let's see. All right, let's see what this looks like. Kind of on the bottom side of the volume profile. Not the greatest. Remember, if I'm trying to take a long, I'd like to position myself above the peaks on the volume profile, not necessarily on the bottom part of the peaks. Doesn't mean that it's a terrible setup, but it's just, I'm looking for A+. It's typically what I need to see. So let me just take a look and see what's going on there. Okay, I do see an area here. So entry, I'm gonna mark this one out just for right now and kind of see what happens when price action gets here. That's not what I wanted to do. Really got to get my Stream Deck working down here. Was working on it all night last night and just couldn't really get anything accomplished there. All right, so a tentative entry long on the NQ at the 24,757. Very tentative. Not necessarily loving where this is at on the volume profile. I do kind of like where it's sitting at on this peak right here, but so I would say stop loss would be load up my stop loss there. So stop loss would be at the 24,746, and then my TP would be right here. Load 24,766, and TP2 would be at the 24,770. So the setup that we have tentatively marked up on the NQ to the short side would be a long at the 24,757, targeting first TP at 24,766. Again, around roughly 10 points. 10 points of TP. And then TP2 would be at the 24,770. So that would, what would that be? About 13 and a half points. With a stop loss at the 24,746. All right, so let's get back up to where price action is currently at. And there's one area here that is pretty close to us on the short side that I want to map out here. Now, just to kind of give you guys a little teaching moment here too. Good morning, Krypton. Thanks, Anthony, for the update on gold being a winner 2 days in a row. Beautiful. Get to go upstairs and Rob, are you picking these off the volume profile without the 15-minute candles? No, so I'm using a combination of 15 and 5-minute, and we'll narrow them down a little bit here in a little bit just to kind of show you where these kind of levels are. But right now, I'm pretty much just using volume profile to kind of map out some areas. Obviously, I mean, it goes without saying, hopefully, that you've got your 15-minute level smack due right there. Let's see if I can do this right. Right there at the 24,954. I mean, that's your 15-minute level. And then that coincides with exactly what I want to see on the volume profile. So, yeah, it's pretty much the same concept. Let's put this down here just a little bit, just in case the NQ runs up on us, that we can hopefully take a look at this trade here. Remember, we're targeting a short at the 25,173. Now, just as again, for a little teaching moment, remember, we spotted a 15-minute level right here, and it's exactly what I like to see on the volume profile as we're coming in. So we're meeting resistance right here. It's the big fat part of the meat before the rib tip, I guess you want to say, before the peak. So they align really nicely right here on this level. The only thing that concerns me is that you can see that price action took off from this movement right here between these two candles right here. The only thing that concerns me is this retap right into this area. So what it's doing, what the market does all day, it does the exact same thing every single day. Every market does the same thing. You need to find market participants. You need to find buyers and sellers. It's a basic theory of auction. There's really nothing more complicated than that. You know, price is too high, they're looking for value. Price comes down, it goes into value, that gets very popular and people want to buy it. So what happened here is price action obviously had a really nice move to the upside, broke structure here to the left. And what did it do? It tapped right back into this area of high volume, okay? So this to me takes a setup from like an A+, brings it down to like an A-. Still very high probability with my trades. My A- trades probably have a hit rate of 67, 68%. So it's still something that I will take a look at, but now it just needs to be something that makes total sense to me. And let me just take a look here really fast. What's been going on there? Man, it's ugly. The price action is super ugly here. Yeah. The only case that I can make would be right smack it. Let me just mark this one off here. Right there would be a line. That would be my entry. Okay, so the only thing I see is the 24,967 down here. Again, this is too close, though. It did what I would want it to do just a little bit later on when I could actually have gotten into the trade. This happened this morning at about 1 o'clock in the morning, this move. So, you know, if I was on the chart and I saw this movement to the upside, I would have loved to have seen this go on right now. That's why I'm constantly saying I need to see movement. You know, we're in this candle right now. It's a 15-minute candle. But I need to see movement in and out of areas for volume to leave clues that I can then pick up for trade setups. So on this particular setup that I don't necessarily like, I would say the only TP that I can see that would be super easy would be right here. And this is just a terrible... I mean, to take 3 points on the NQ? No, thank you. That to me just doesn't look... That doesn't look inviting. Because I've got to tap into volume. I've got to tap into volume that hasn't been rebalanced yet. I'm looking for the market to rebalance that volume. So this, it already did that to a certain extent. There's still a little bit of volume balancing right here that needs to be done. But to me, just not the greatest setup. So what I'll do is, I'm going to leave that one up on the chart. And we'll... Let me mark up where my stop loss would have been. All right. Template load. Delete this guy. All right, so this is where my stop loss would be. Again, this is a setup that I would not be I would not be looking at, you know, unless I see something crazy on the footprint. But again, I'm really looking for just A+ setups. So we'll see when price action comes back down here. Hopefully we get to see it today, and then I'll kind of show you guys what I see. Let's jump down to the 5-minute. All right, so we got our setup here still mapped out on the NQ, short at the 25,173. Targeting about 13 points for TP1. And then let me jump over to the ES. Morning, Nate. Thanks for joining the stream. Krypton, good morning. I think I already said it. Joe, good morning. Clint Eastwood, good morning. All right. On the ES, not much. It's been pretty much just consolidating here at the open. So not much going on right now on the ES. We got two setups identified on the ES. We've got a long at the 66.75. You know, let me see if I can do this here. I have labeled lines that that puts the number up on the line, which I know, trust me, people, I know this would look a lot nicer on screen for you guys to actually see where my entry lines are at. I've just been having an issue with that indicator ghosting at times, and it'll just stay on my chart, and the only way to get rid of them is to completely delete the chart and restart it. Erasing all drawings doesn't do it. And then I've got another one, but it's giving me an error saying that it's using the same resource as another, I think, as the volume profile. So I'm really stuck without having a good labeled line like I do upstairs. So I apologize for that. I'm going to hopefully try to look for a solution this weekend here. If there's anybody smart out there on NinjaTrader, if you guys have been using a labeled line that works for you, I can test it out over the weekend. So again, along at the 66.75, targeting the 66.79. So about three and a half points. Is what we're targeting onto the downside, and then to the upside, we're targeting a short at the 67.88. I'm sorry, what I was going to do was this. Let me just see how this, if this looks terrible or not. 67.88. All right. Let me know if that looks a little bit better. Morgan, thanks. City. SIDI, is that the name of the the website or the indicator creator? Because that would be huge if I get one that works nicely. But for right now, I guess let me just hopefully the 6788 shows up a little bit better than that stupid chart flag. And then to the downside, looking for a long, I would place this guy right here, and this would be at the 6675.50. Okay. So as of right now, let me drop down to the 30 minute, just so that we can maybe put both of these up on our screen. See, now when I change time frames, though, my label that text box that I put in there just disappears. So not the greatest solution there, but we'll see. And then I got a few questions as far as what I trade, like as far as, you know, what accounts, what brokerage I use, what prop firms I'm currently using. I developed a system for income. Okay. My goal, for most people know in my full story, hopefully know my full story if you've been following my channel for any bit of time. I am a full-time real estate broker, a managing broker. I actually own a RE/MAX office in Chicago. So that is my full-time. That's my full-time job. That's what pays the bills, gives me the house, the cars, pays for my kids' schools, all the fun stuff that we have as adults. I picked up obviously trading 4 to 5 years ago. My brother-in-law got me into it. I spoke about it a little bit yesterday on stream. And I struggled for the first couple of years. Then I got into the mechanical strategies in oil, gold, and the 50-minute Rob reversal. And that, and for those of you that are out trading just the mechanical strategies, you know, I was having a conversation with my wife last night, and she said, just put it down here, and that way, you know, you can maybe switch over to that screen when those trades come in. Just so I know there's a lot of people that follow me with the mechanical strategies. I feel like it's lonely sitting upstairs on my trading computer upstairs, but so that's something I'll be adding over the weekend as well for next week's streams. But getting back to the story, I got into the mechanical strategies, started making a little bit of money consistently. Nothing that would, pay the bills, as I like to say. Some people ask, well, you're obviously doing YouTube for money, for revenue. You're getting revenue from the affiliates that you put up on your prop firms. And yes, I do make a few bucks. I would say in the first year and a half on YouTube, what I was making off the channel and the affiliate income combined couldn't even pay my Verizon family bill for my cell phone. So I just want to put it in perspective as to, there's influencers out there. I don't consider myself an influencer, but there's influencers out there that are making a shit ton of money on the affiliate income, and trading's kind of like secondary. For me, trading is primary. I should take that back. My brokerage business is primary. My trading business is secondary. I now have gotten to a point where my personal trading monthly is now become a really good secondary source of income for me. And I took a different pathway. What I saw was I saw that Apex was super popular for its scaling options. You can go up to 20 accounts. It makes total sense. You take $100 trade, times it by 20, you made $2,000 in the day. And you can, if you make that consistently, which is the hard part, but if you make that consistently, you start to build a balance up in each one of those. And eventually, really, if you can make just $1,000 payout on each account, that's 20 grand. So the scaling was very interesting to me. And I always started with NinjaTrader cash accounts. I started with one NinjaTrader cash account through my brokerage. That's what I use. I use Ninja for my trading platform, and I use Ninja for my actual brokerage. And so I was always trading with just one cash account. And then I got, I started seeing Top Step come up as a prop firm. I actually really like I should say I really liked their business for a long time. The fact now that when they got off of Ninja or Tradeovate, they lost me on that. So the Top Step X for me personally is not bashing Top Step. I think they're a fantastic company, and they're kind of the pioneers in it. So they kind of know what they're doing. But I just don't like the Top Step X platform. I like to set, I know now they have OCO orders or bracket orders enabled, but they just need to add the feature of, hey, I want to put an order in at this. I want my stop loss to be this, and I want my take profit to be this. Standard bracket order that you can fill in, and I think they would make that platform very compatible to most other trading platforms. But getting back to the scaling, so then the thought process I had was, once I started making some money, was, all right, well, if I can make $100 per day on my personal account, and if I was to add another personal account, forgetting about prop firms for a second, and I can copy trade that, then now I can make $200 in a day with the same exact trade that I would have taken with my one singular account. That's the key. That's the key to scaling, is that you can actually take trades that you are already comfortable with. Excuse me. You can take trades that you're already comfortable with, so you don't have to adjust your size, your quantity, your risk, none of that. And that interests me a lot. So then I requested a secondary brokerage account through Ninja. That they do have that option. You can have up to two. You do need to give them like a narration as to why you need that secondary account. It's not an automatic you're approved, but they approved me in it, and it was fantastic. Let me just take a look here really quick at let me jump to the NQ. Let's see. So we had a nice little movement to the downside here. Right here, we've got something brewing. I can delete this guy here. Let's see. It's talking too much, and I All right, so what I'm looking at right now, let me just put in my stop loss here. All right, let me jump down to the NQ trade screen. All right, cool. So possible short here at the 25.053, okay? Let me get down to the 1 minute. Possible short here at the 25.053, targeting 25.046. Let's get ready here. Let's see if I can get a confirmation. Let's see what price action has to do. Short possibility at the 25.053, targeting the 25.046. And pretty much based off of this move right here. See what happens here. Man, that came quick. Let's see. Let's see. Dang it. I missed it. I missed it. Missed it. Bless it. Got the confirmation candle right here. Confirmation candle was right here. Smackaroo. Red footprint chart 21 delta positive. Missed it. See, that's where you know, having a limit order, you know, makes you $200 right there. Times 7, $1,400. Missed out right there. But you guys can see, I mean, the setup came really quickly, just off of this move to the downside. So if I bring this down to, let's just say like a 5-second chart, which is probably what you're going to need to see this one. Tapped right back into our entry. What was that? Less than 2 points of drawdown. Slapped right back into our TP. And that's exactly the trades that I'm looking for every single time. Very little drawdown. I know where the volume is sitting right here. And they're going to have a very hard time getting down to it. You don't see it very well on this volume profile right here because I'm on the 5-second. So just disregard that part a little bit. But the setup was there. It was absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Darn it. All right, so it's been nothing but missed trades so far on this stream. But again, you know, I can be negative for myself for not, you know, not getting into that trade. I saw it. The confirmation was there. You guys can see the confirmation candle that we got was right smackaroo right there. And if I draw my line to the delta was positive 21, red candle. I'm telling you guys, it's the greatest confirmation you'll ever see, that you'll ever get. All right, let's bring that back. Let's go back to the main trading screen. There we go. All right, so I'll still say that was exciting. I love this shit. I mean, I could do this, God, all day long. And especially when the market's moving, just not been moving great. I mean, this is not the greatest price action, obviously. But let's see some of the constant lines indicator. Constant line indicator works good. I have a template set up. I think that's the one that I've got upstairs. The constant line indicator. All right, I'm gonna look at that one. Thank you. I'm gonna save that one and Morgan's recommendation. I'll take a look at it. I think for some reason that sounds really familiar to me, but let's see. Morgan, 6723. Let's take a look at the ES. What's going on? 6723. Let's jump down to the 15. All right. 6723 was right here. Yeah, I mean, that's a good level for sure. Just see what would have happened. Let's see what kind of reaction you would have got here. And let's jump down to the 5-minute. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, I mean, that would have been a great reaction right there. So yeah, no, Morgan, you're totally right. That 15-minute level, that's exactly what I actually. Let me just see on my Discord if that was a level that I put in for the ES. Yeah, 6723. So that was the level. I'm worried about doing this, but let's see what happens here. Okay, yeah, that was the level I had on my Discord this morning. 6723 in 15-minute. Okay, go back down. Beautiful, and nothing happened. Fantastic. Again, guys, if you're if you're interested in how I'm trading and what I'm doing here, the first step would be to join the Discord. It's free, and there's just a lot of valuable resources there. I post my levels each and every morning on my Discord. It takes me time. I'm committed to it. I've been doing it for probably 2 years straight, every single day, every single trading day. So there's some value there for sure. All right, so then kind of finishing my story on the accounts and how I trade now. So I added the secondary brokerage account through NinjaTrader, and I started just doing my own scaling, like what you could do with Apex or Tradeify or Funding Ticks, Take Profit Trader. You know, it's the same concept. It doesn't change my psychology at all. That's the key. I've got a video that's going to be coming out on psychology. I'm not a psychologist, but I've gone through the battles enough where I have some ideas for traders that you really need to start at the base, and the base is your trading psychology. After that is confidence, and confidence is born by experience. That's the bottom line. But if your trade doesn't affect your psychology, you're going to be in a good place for sure. So then I added the secondary account, and that's how I started trading. Ninja only limits you to 2. I've heard rumors in back channels, not that I have any back channel at NinjaTrader, but just research that I've done online. There are some traders that have 3 to 4 accounts with NinjaTrader, from what I've heard. I don't have this verified, but it's big wiggers, obviously, not the little fish like myself. So I'm limited to 2 cash NinjaTrader accounts. You can't see my order entry right now. I am testing this order entry system through Affordable Indicators, which right now is freaking awesome. Hopefully if I can take a trade here today, you'll be able to see it in action. I think you guys are going to really like it. But so I have a Rob Live main, which is my main account 1, and then I've got Rob Live secondary, or second, which is my secondary Ninja. And then I opened up a third brokerage account through Ironbeam, which is another very low margin, low cost brokerage for futures. And, you know, full disclosure, their charting software is not good. It's not great. I don't like to bash anybody, because their customer service is great. Their customer reps are great, but the actual chart, and I think they understand this, is very basic, very limited. I mean, they don't have, like, I shouldn't even say basic, it's rudimentary. But the nice thing is that you can link it to NinjaTrader, and you can link it to TradingView. So then that kind of added a third live account for my scaling option. Still targeting, let's say, $100. Now you can make $300 in the day. Conversely, you can make negative $300 in the day by scaling as well. And then I obviously started adding the funded accounts. I currently am trading 3 funded ticks account. Funny thing is, I resurrected the account that was negative from the 30-day challenge on the mechanical strategies. So that one's back in the green. And I trade 1 Tradeify funded account, all 50K accounts, and then I have 1 Take Profit account that is that's funded. That one actually, I think, is my closest. What is that? Let's see what the balance is on that one. No, sorry, my Tradeify is at 52,000. So I'm about about $900 away from a payout on that guy. My funded ticks are at about 51.5. So those need about 1,500 more in profit. And the nice thing is about the funded accounts is that, you know, you're not funding it with $5,000 like how I typically fund my starting balances on my Ninja accounts. So the key is to keep the trades the same, just scale with the accounts. That's why I think they're so popular. Now, I love my cash accounts because I have no restrictions. I don't have any restrictions on consistency, which I think is a good thing for traders. But I don't have that with my, obviously with my live accounts. I could take payouts whenever I want. I just took out a $4,500 payout from my brokerage. I want to say about 7-8 days ago. I think my wife might be on the stream, but she was. She could probably confirm. I think it was about 7 or 8 days ago. I took $4,500 out of my Ninja. So I have a business plan. My business plan is very simple. My accounts are funded with $5,000 each for my live account. And again, this is just what I do. Everybody's financial situation, trading situation is different. So just take this for what it's worth. And what I did was, when the accounts, it's, how do I explain this? They were both funded with 5, but my main account is always 5,000 more than my secondary account, if that makes sense. So for instance, on my last payout, my balance on my main account got up to about 11,500 from the 5 that, that's always the base. That's my absolute base. Like if I consider I blew my account, I went down to $5,000, and that's the max that I'm willing to risk. And then after that, if I was to blow the account and go down to $5,000, then I've got to re-look at my strategy. I've got to look at my position sizing. All of that jazz goes into it. But once the main account gets up to 11,000, I then request, and then the secondary account then is always sitting at about $8,000. It's just the difference of where it started from. It's hard to explain, but every time that one of those accounts, so that main account, I took out 4,500, so the balance went down to 65. But my secondary account balance was at 75, and then now I copy trade that secondary account, which has got the higher balance, and my goal is just to get that one back up to 11. Take out the 4,500. The other account will be at about 7,500, 8,000, and I now make that my main account. And that's how I can consistently take income, because if you're not taking money out of trading, you'll find a way to spend it in the markets. That's the best way that I can tell you. And I don't take all the profits, so the account still continues to grow, but I am really income generated trader. I want that secondary income. I want the time that I spend in front of my charts to be fruitful. And I want to show something, not only for me, but for my family, that I can actually extract profits from the market and actually put them in my checking account and use them in my everyday life. Because it's very easy to build an account, you get excited, and then, you have those revenge days that will always pop up here and there. And then you lost everything. You felt like all that time that you spent was wasted. I don't want to waste time. I want my time to get paid. So that's how I work those accounts. And so there's a lot of different ways. You could take the dollar amounts that I'm talking about, you can make them smaller, you can make them bigger. You could solely rely on the funded accounts. The prop firm that I haven't taken a payout yet from is Funding Ticks, and I'm close, but I don't know if she's going to like me to say this, but my wife has taken a payout from Funding Ticks. So they do pay. They pay very quickly. So the firms that I recommend, I use them. and I haven't had any issues with them. So I don't like to stay in drama and stuff like that. So that's that's something that looking for a drama-free zone. That's for sure. Today is the last day for the Apex sale, which is 80% off, $85 lifetime PA fees, which is nice. I've got I want to get 10 PA accounts set up for next week, and I will be doing, I know the popular thing on these channels is to do giveaways for the evaluations, so I will be doing that as well. I'm going to figure out a fun system to do it, and hopefully we get to take a trade here today. Let's see if I got any questions. Yeah, Krypton, it's a game changer, man. Once you start scaling with your own money, you're in control of everything. Sometimes you could build your buffers into these accounts by $4,000 or $5,000, and they still won't let you take a payout because of the consistency. And on your cash account, you don't have that restriction. I do really believe, the consistency is there to protect the prop firms as well, but it also really does try to make you a better trader. It does give you a little bit of discipline on the prop firm side. Cash account better tax treatment, absolutely. And the futures market, you almost can't beat the futures market tax code, or I should say the capital gains on the futures, compared to what I see my brother-in-law dealing with on the equity side. Well, market's pretty sideways here. We do have our initial balance. Let's map that one out. Initial balance is going to sit right here. So let's jump this to the 15. Got the ATM set for my IB trade. Let's just mark this one off here. I also have an initial balance indicator as well on my one upstairs, and I load it here. I'm getting the same error. It's like it's using a resource from another indicator that I can't figure out what indicator it possibly is. It's giving me some brush error, so I know that that's using a resource from a different indicator, and I get these error messages that pop up, and that frustrates me to no end. But so yeah, on the IB play, it's pretty simple. So it's from 8:30 to 9:30. It's the opening balance, opening initial balance of the market. And typically you're going to find a lot of volume sitting at the top and at the bottom of that initial balance. And what I'm looking for is to get a footprint confirmation at the initial balance. If I get the confirmation that I'm looking for, I will target 15-point stop and 15-point take profit. That's what I'm looking for in my initial balance trade. And those generally go pretty quick. Typically not in those trades more than 30-40 seconds, maybe a minute. There's just so much volume sitting there. Let me take a look at volume. What's so initial balance is like set at 25 125-ish. Yeah, it's got a peak right there. It's got a peak right underneath it, which is what I like to see as well. Just looking at Bookmap. Yeah, Michael, it's a game changer, man. When you that footprint. Let's take a look here. Let's see what the NQ wants to do here at the initial balance. We're getting close. So again, I want to see that footprint chart tap into that line or cross it. As I said, there was stacking up right underneath the initial balance. So it's exactly what I would assume would happen here. Okay, so we're over it. Now let's see what we get here. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Now, if it stays above for too long, I don't get really interested anymore, because now it's kind of like a different play. You can almost take the reverse from and go for a long. So, nothing yet. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Okay, so I'm not interested in that trade already this morning. So again, it just keeps me out of a bad trade, because that right there would have been 15 points. If you just take a limit order right at the IB, which a lot of people have that strategy. Take a limit order at the IB if it's, you know, going in, and boom, you get knocked out. You know, that was a loss. That was a loss avoided strictly by my footprint chart. Strictly by my footprint chart. There was no reason to get into that trade whatsoever. And that is what saves my capital. And yesterday you saw the bad side of it, where it didn't let me get into a beautiful trade. And then I had a hard time with the rest, because I pretty much left to work at about 11 a.m. Yesterday. So I was off the charts for the other setups. But that's a perfect example of not getting any type of footprint confirmation on the IB trade that saved me from this disaster right there. Now, I think we might be getting close to a setup here on the NQ, so let's go back to trading screen. Let's jump to the 1 minute. All right, so on the NQ, remember, we're targeting the 25 173.50. Let me put this up here just to make it, since I'll probably be staying in this, one for a little bit. 50. Let's move this guy up just a bit. All right, hopefully it's a little easier for you guys to see. ES, I don't think ES is just, man, it's not moving at all. That's okay. So now, I mean, let me just take a look at this IB now to the upside. Let's see. I'll show you guys, if I get a confirmation candle, what it would look like. Right there. So that was a good confirmation candle. You guys can see right there, green, negative delta. Now, the only issue that I see with that one is that you've pierced through the IB, so all that volume that was sitting there, that was stacked up on the order book, which has pretty much disappeared. Now we're at like 7 contracts, which is nothing, has been kind of balanced out. Okay, so some people will then take the curl back into it for a long. And the only issue with that process thinking is that you've already balanced out a lot of the volume there. So you're really hoping, and you can only see this with order book, level 2, book map, something. You're trying to see if volume starts to pump into that IB line once again. So that footprint confirmation that I spotted, which was, I believe, let's see, where to go? Was it this one? Green, negative delta, right on the line. So that would have been a decent confirmation there. Yeah, I think that was one that I spotted, but and another question that I get a lot is, how do you get the footprint charts? So I've got, obviously my trading platform is NinjaTrader. So when I opened up my NinjaTrader, I elected for the lifetime license. Let's take a look here at the NQ. I elected for the lifetime license, so it was a bigger upfront cost. I think maybe $1,200 or $1,100. But that gave me the multi-broker plugin that gave me all of the volume profile, the footprint charts. It gives it to you, and there's no added monthly cost into that, minus the level 2 data that I have to subscribe to. So Ninja is you have to, if you don't have the lifetime, you've got to pay for it monthly. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what order book is doing. Oh yeah, it's stacking up really nice. This could be a play right here, the 25,173. This might be even one for a limit order. Probably going to see a pretty big reaction here. I just don't want to see it blow through real quick. Let's see. So entry would be 25,173.50, and TP1 would be at that 25,166. Oh, I gotta. So that tapped into my entry. No, it was about a point off there. Let's see it tap in. Come on. Come on. Come on. Negative. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Oh, there it is. Come on. Yeah, we'll target right here. All right, let's see what happens here. Come on, the one that I get into. Don't be the killer. Don't be the killer. They're fighting. Let's see what's going on here on the... Come on. Come on, TP1 at least. Let's go. Let's go. We're in the consolidation here a little bit of a tug of war. Not liking it. Not liking it anymore. Oh, my trade total's not running on the... That stinks. Come on. Missed it by a tick there. Missed it by a tick there. That could have been the... That hurt. That hurt. And it did rebalance that little section, so I need a strong push here. I need one little strong push here. There we go. Beautiful. TP1 and 2. Let's go. First one in the book. First one in the book. Plus $1,145. Beautiful. All right. So cherries popped on the stream. And there comes the dump. Let's go. Anybody else take any money from that? Let's go. Anybody. Telling you guys. This, and you guys hopefully saw the footprint confirmation on that one. That was a huge, let me see if I can pull it up. I think it was negative 200. Let's see. Which one was it? Oh, you know what? I could just do my executions. I was not on the footprint. Let's see if I do that. Where did she go? Where did she go? Dang it. Oh, right here. I'm looking straight into it. This was the confirmation footprint right here. Red footprint candle plus 105. The higher the delta is, the stronger the reaction's going to be. So right there was footprint chart. Now I'm only upset. Oh, it does show up. Trade total 1145. That's not what it's supposed to do, though. So that's the running balance. Oh my god, this is hilarious because that's what my total P&L is for the day, which is the one that I couldn't get to work before, and now it took my total P&L for the day and put it where my actual trade total is going to be. So I got to work on that through the night because I want to have this as two. I'm putting my mouse over it like you guys can see it. I'm an idiot. But where you see the trade totals on the left-hand side of the trade screen, I want to have two boxes. I do have two boxes. I have one for trade total that should show the current trade P&L and then the session total. And then I had to hide the session total because it was not taking the right data. Now I'm seeing that the trade total is actually taking the session total. So interesting. All right, I gotta mess around with that. All right, so I can delete this setup here. Beautiful trade. Beautiful trade. And I gotta center the box up a little bit because I'm so OCD. I hate the fact that it's not centered. And I can probably fix that right now, but I'm not gonna do that. All right, so as far as setups that we got remaining on the NQ, we've got a short that we're looking at the 25-231, and then on the ES, we've got a short at the 67.88 and a long at the 66.75. I'm gonna take Rob, do you take 1 mini? 1 mini. So it's 1 mini through 7 accounts. So on my cash accounts, I made $300 today because I've got 2 cash accounts, 2 ninjas that are trading that. And then I've got 5 funded accounts. So that's where you get the total of the 1145. And that the $300 for me, that's like a fantastic goal for every day. Trust me, it adds up so freaking quickly. You'll get to that $4,500 payout so damn quick that way. So All right, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to get my coffee. I'm super excited, as you could probably tell, that I finally took the first real trade on stream. So I've got all my good superstition stuff behind me. Is came down from the upstairs down to the basement with me, and it was fantastic. What a great setup! And hopefully we can find here a little more. All right, I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, we're back. And that feels good. Feels good finally getting one under the belt here. God, that trade total display is really driving me nuts. It's irking me so bad. I want to fix it right now. But you say a golden rule is never mess with your platform while you're on stream, which is probably a good let's see what we got on the questions. Morgan, so you always try for TP2. Yeah, if I see let me kind of rewind back to the trade. So on that particular trade, what I would have liked to have seen for TP2 is our entry to have gotten the footprint chart confirmation right at our entry. If you remember, we were in some drawdown on that one. I think maybe 5 points of drawdown. So once we were hovering over that entry, we did get a really nice footprint confirmation. I mean, you can't get much better than the 105 one right here. That was, oh, you're not seeing it. This confirmation was fantastic right here. This was your best confirmation candle you could have gotten. And then what I also like to see, which is a little hard to show on the screen because there's just so much going on right at the same time, but if you drop down to like your 5 or your 1, I think I was on the 1, but if I was on the 1 on a different chart, you can also see if there was a big movement originating from the TP2. So if you see a big movement originating like a level, okay, that's the perfect analogy I can give you is how I come up with my 5 and 15 minute levels. If you can come up with an actual 1 minute level prior to your entry, that's what I like to target. And in this particular trade, TP1 seemed like it was going to be the easiest, least resistance. And to be honest with you, full transparency, I wanted to get a win. So that was kind of the methodology there. And hopefully everybody hears this because this is going to be another huge tip. My biggest issue currently as a trader, let's get this to the right footprint. There we go. Let's go back to the main. Let me just take a look really quick at the ES. So the ES is not doing much here. Been no movements on the ES yet. So we'll stay on the NQ. Before I start talking, I got some important stuff to say. But let me just make sure that out of this origination right here, and there's nothing here that I like. Okay. My biggest issue as a trader currently that I am working on, and people don't talk about this stuff, and they just want you to have this persona that they're perfect or perfect traders, and that is not what I am at all. My biggest issue as a trader right now is finding a price action movement or clue to stay into trades a little bit longer. Now, and it's a very tough problem. My win rate is fantastic. I think currently my win rate for October is sitting upwards of high 80%. If you look at my signal performance over the last 8 months, it's probably sitting at about 80%, maybe 79%. So my win rate, my hit rate's fantastic. My entries are fantastic. Very little drawdown, which is what I'm generally looking for. But my biggest problem right now is holding on to trades just a little bit longer. And I think that's a problem with a lot of traders. I mean, you start getting that part right, and I think you could just, you could really do some good damage in a good way. So I have my particulars that I'm looking for to stay into bigger trades. And, you know, I'll share them. Maybe I'll make a video on it. I've got some grandiose ideas going forward that I think will help a lot of traders for sure. But that's my biggest problem right now is actually staying in trades just a little bit longer. And at the end of the day, I mean, my cash accounts are sitting at 300 bucks. So that's pretty much my goal. I don't really have a daily goal amount, but I actually have got a frame somewhere down here. You guys are gonna laugh. I've got a frame, picture frame, that I couldn't find a great spot on that shelf, but maybe I'll just put it on the shelf. And it's got 3 $100 bills in it. And I've got that framed real $100 bills. My wife's always like, can't we just use the $100? I'm like, nope. That was always like my target per day. If I can make 300, you know, there's another chart that I had upstairs that I don't have down here that kind of gives you, you know, if you make 250 a day, you make 50 grand a year. So the 300, I think, was, I don't know, 65 grand or something like that. So that was always just like a mental kind of target that I was super happy with. And wins are good because wins give you confidence in your strategy. So, you know, you can't have super messed up risk to reward, which I really don't. My risk to reward typically on TP1 is 1-to-1. Maybe sometimes 1 to 0.85 or something like that, and my TP2 is always going to be 1 to 1.25, so positive risk to reward. That's just general, but again, I don't think of my setups in the risk to reward type of that's not a criteria for me to enter a trade unless it's super skewed, like the one that I found down here. Which one? This one right here. The 24,967, 3 points. I mean, me putting on risk for a guaranteed 3 points is not worth it to me. So that's something that I'm just not interested in at all. So nothing on the ES, nothing on the NQ. We're just kind of sitting in consolidation right now. What was the stop loss? Morgan, the stop loss on which trade? The NQ? I believe it was 8 points. 8 or 9 points was my stop on that trade. I should have just kept it up there because then I could have taken my screenshots and it would have been easy. But I didn't. Did we already map? Let me see if we mapped this one out already. All right, let's see what's going on here. That's a good move. Decent move. Got a, well, we're on the 1 minute. Let's see what this looks like on the 15 minute. Okay, so the bottom sits at a level on the 15, so at the 25.043 would be a level. Let's see what's going on here. Ooh. Ooh. So we might miss this one. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't map this one out. I'm slipping here, people. Definitely slipping here. There's all that excitement. Stop loss. Take profit right here. Load TP. And TP2 would be right there. Load TP. And adjust my TP1 just a little bit down right there. All right. All right, so let me go back down to the 1 minute. Oh man, we just almost swept that. Almost missed that one 4 points. I would have been really upset on that one. All right, so a setup that I found originating from a 15-minute level at the 25070.75. Let's see what the order book looks like. Nothing super. No, it is. Yeah, right. Or dang it. Dang it. Yeah, the order book was sitting stacked at the 73s. All right, I'll take a look at this one. I got no issue with this one. So I would be targeting an entry on the NQ at the 25070. Let's do this. 25070.75. TP1 at 25077 and TP2 at 25081 with a stop at the 25062. Now we did tap into a really nice chunk of volume that, if you can see it on the volume profile, never lies. It's where it was sticking out right here. Remember, on a long, we're looking for the top part of the profile where it starts to make its move to the descent, to the ascending peak to the right. For a short, we're looking at the opposite. We're looking at the bottom side of the profile. So that's one to keep an eye out on here for you guys on the NQ, 25070.75. Currently, it's not stacked up super strong, but we kind of moved up from there. Nothing on the ES here today. It's just stuck in this rut. But again, on the ES, we've got two setups identified. One at the 67.88 for a short, and the 66.75 for a long. Uh, 67.60 on the ES. What's going on the ES? Let's see, 67.60. Let's see what I see here. So my volume peak would be right there-ish. I feel like we already tapped into it. What was the number? 67.60. Okay, let's see what's going on there. 67.60. It does not interest me at all, actually. The 67.60. It does not at all at this point. Go down to the 5 minute. See how this 5 minute is, you can, so your 15-minute level here, somewhere around here, look at how many times it was tapped into by the lower time frame after that. So this thing was churning through volume right here, which to me is not. I'm looking for really strong movements, or at least clean movements out. So no, that would not be an area that I personally would be, but this is not financial advice. Let's go to the 15-minute. Let's go to the NQ. All right. And like I said, if you haven't, God, I know I need to say this more often, but if you're enjoying the content, hopefully if you made some money on any of the trades, hit the like button for me. That'll help me at least stay relevant with you guys, and hopefully push me out to some other traders that could maybe use the videos or the streams. So I would appreciate that. I don't ask for much. And then, like I said, hopefully next week I'll have some evaluation giveaways or some prop firm giveaways that I could do on stream. If you haven't joined the Discord, it's free. Just a boatload of help there. If you want to get my weekly bands and my tradable levels that come out on Sundays and Wednesdays, for that, you can go to my website, which is robstrades.com. You put your name and your email, and then you'll get that email. It's an email once a week. And all my strategies, all my automated strategies for NinjaTrader, they're all there as well. So it's a good resource. I wonder if the NQ will get a little pullback here. All right, so one trade for today. Positive 1145. Actually, positive 320 on my cash. My primary was up 150, and my secondary was up 170. And then all of the my funded accounts were all up 165. And then I'll just kind of finish my conversation about the footprint charts. If you're using Ninja, you can obviously get the footprint charts through there through an add-on to your account. You pretty much need level 2 data, and then you need the order flow plus add-on through NinjaTrader. I know you can get footprint charts on most charting platforms, but you are probably going to need to pay, not probably, you are going to need to pay, unless you have it included somehow, the level 2 depth of market subscription to it. But I highly encourage it. I mean, it's a small investment into your business if you're treating this like a business. And if you're thinking about joining a prop firm, including Apex, Funded Ticks, Tradeify, Take Profit Trader, use code TraderOp. That helps the channel a little bit. I know Apex, their last day for their sale, the 80% off with the $85 lifetime PA accounts ends today. Because I'm currently trading the E-mini. One E-mini contract traded through 2 cash live accounts and 5 funded accounts. Anything special about using footprint charts? Yeah, I mean, I've been discussing it for 2 days now. The footprint chart is specifically what I use for my confirmation candles to get into trades and also help me avoid some bad trades. I'll go into it again once we start seeing price action get closer to an entry again. I'll kind of explain what I'm looking at. So I use 3 tools. I use the volume profile, which is I would say the main battle plan to find setups. I use my footprint charts is my confirmation to get into an entry. And I use Bookmap, which is the order book, to confirm entries. So areas of interest for me, like the 25070, or like on the ES, we've got a few setups mapped out. Like this long at the 6875, I'll use Bookmap to confirm this level, especially when price action starts getting down to close to my TPE2. I'll see where orders are being stacked in, where it's being defended, to make sure that my original thesis on where my entry was going to be for the trade still makes sense. Okay. And the same thing for like the short that we have mapped out on the ES at the 6788. So those are the 3 tools that I use. That's it. I don't use any other indicator. I don't use any lagging indicator, nothing else. I think it's the pure price action. And I will say, it's not a coincidence, but I would say if you go out and find the majority of successful good traders that I think know their shit, they will always have the volume profile on their chart, and majority of them are using an order book, depth of market somewhere on their screen, at least at a minimum. So not everybody uses the footprint charts, but I know some of the really good traders do. And I had a hard time figuring them out for a long time. In fact, I probably don't even know the full extent of the footprint chart. I just know what works. What works really good for my order confirmations. Yeah, for the ranges on the volume profile. So again, I'm using the composite profile. And the composite profile, I use an indicator it's called ChartSpots. And that is it's, I think 60 something dollars to get it through there. It's fantastic. Their indicator is the best. I think it's the cleanest, the easiest to use. It always works, never gives me an issue. So this is the composite profile. On the higher time frames, like the 15-minute and the 1 hour, I'm using the range of 120 days. And on the lower profiles, like the 5 minute, the 1 minute sometimes, which I'll use for confirmations of my TP2s or TP1s in that matter, those are set to 45 days. So, you can set the profile for daily. You could set the profile for a week, a quarter, which is what I pretty much have it at. Is on the bigger time frame, I have it at a quarter. What I'm interested in is I'm interested in not knowing a temporary area of high interest. I'm looking for an area that has historically, over a long period of time, been an area that the market is really interested in, where the big market participants are focused in on. So that's the reason for my bigger time frames on the volume profile. And then on the footprint chart, it's pretty simple. I'm the ES. I'm using a 4-range, pretty much equivalent to like a 1 point for the footprint. Let me show the ES right there. So that ES right there sits at on the 4-range with a pretty much 4-tick box. And on the NQ, it's sitting on the 20 range, so 5 points on the NQ, and that seems to me to work the best. All right, nice little strong move there. Well, let's see what happens here on the NQ. Okay, got to bounce off the TP2. See what the order book is. 80s stacked up, 75, 70. All right, looks pretty good. So order book looks good. And trust me, I've tried to find a way to include Bookmap on here on the charts. I can't. I just don't have enough real estate. Oh, crappers. That was it. And you got your confirmation candle perfectly to the T. Right there. You got your green candle, negative 25 delta. It's exactly what you're looking for. Let's see. And as you can see, when you get areas of high volume, you're going to get some really crazy fast moves. That was about a point away from TP2. It's easy. The setups are easy. All right. So your initial confirmation on this one came. It was right here. You got your positive footprint chart, negative 25 delta. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I believe you might have got another one out here. This would have been a negative 2 delta, not something I'm super interested in. Nice. I like the risk to reward right there. I think you might have got one more. Let's see. So here obviously TP1 was simple on that trade. And well, we ended up. Did we miss TP2? Yeah, I think we missed it by a point. And that was it. No other confirmation. So really, it was the initial confirmation. And for me, we obviously didn't tap in. I would have loved for this to have tapped into the actual entry right there. This was about a tick off. But, you know, to target TP, you could have profited. You could have targeted TP2. You would have been probably short by a tick. But limit order resting at the entry, you know, obviously you get your TP1 with no sweat. A few times, actually. All right. Well, but if you guys noticed the footprint chart when we got into when we did the initial sweep there of the entry, did you see how crazy it gets? And it's only getting crazy because of volume. It's balancing out the volume. Oh, this is a big dump. What's going on here? Oh, so it's going to want to retest this initial balance low now. Interesting. Interesting. Just when you thought it was safe to go out of the waters. Let's see. Let's see. It's definitely going to want to. It has to rebalance initial balance at this point. Let's see what the volume is stacking up there at the 13s. Not a lot, actually. They're all stacked up at the 25,000. They're all stacked up right here, which to me worries me because if I'm trying to take a long from the IB, they might want to tap into this big volume that's sitting right here at the 25,000. So for me, an IB long right here would be a little worrisome. A little worrisome. Based on what you're seeing now, do you expect NQ to go up? Oh, I don't predict the. I don't predict the market, man. That's the one thing I can't. I have no. I have no clue. My what I try to do is to find the areas that have already been established that I want to see reactions to. But where the actual market wants to go to, I mean, I'd be a billionaire if I can figure that part out. That I'm just not good at. So sorry, I can't answer that one. Does the volume profile mark off? Yes, it does. It does. It does do all of them. It gives you the high, the low, the value area. I've got now because this is on YouTube and I'm streaming this just to make my charts cleaner. You're not seeing a lot of lines here, but like this would have a high volume peak right here, a line for that. I just don't want to overly confuse people on that. All right, so there was a test of IB. Let's see, that was a good footprint confirmation right there, though. That was nice. But now remember, they're the 25,000, which is right here, a lot of volume. So you know that that's where they're attracted to, right here, the 25,000. Right there, they just tapped into it. And that was, you know, when there's that much volume right there, they just tapped right into it. That saves you from a bad long on the IB trade. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple stuff. Again, you need the tools, though. If you don't have the tools, it's a little difficult. But it all depends on how serious you are of winning in this game, and I guess if you've got the financial resources to Bookmap isn't cheap. It's over $100 a month. But I think it's worth its weight in gold. The footprint charts, shit, I'd probably pay 10 grand for that if I had to, because I know that I'll make that up. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna call it a day right here. I'm gonna take my 1,100 bucks and be super happy with it. Remember, I'm gonna leave you guys off with the setups that I've got marked off. The NQ, we're looking at a short at the 25,231 down to the 25,222 for TP1. TP2 is sitting at 25,217 with your stop loss sitting at 25,239. On the ES, um, we've got a setup below us to go long at the 66.75, targeting 66.79 and targeting 66.82 with a stop loss of 66.69.50. If you want to have a super stop loss, which is going to be really giving you a lot of protection on this trade, I personally would be sitting at the 66.69, but the 66.67 seems like a very safe area to balance this out. Now, I am expecting obviously reactions right at my entry. If we get down to here, yes, you're going to get a reaction here that might save your trade. So that's what I'm using as my kind of my layer of defense. But it's then the initial thesis was off. So that's it. That's the setups I got for you guys today. Took a nice winner. Please remember to like the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'll be here every morning, 8:30 to about 10:30 Central Time. So about 2 hours into the market. And I'll look forward to for an awesome Friday tomorrow. Hopefully we can make some profits here. I'll stay on just for a second. Let me just see if there's any other questions. Damn, never got a confirmation. Thank you. Went to TP1. Strat canceled and trade without entering. On the other hand, I didn't lose anything. Okay. You can get delta divergence and it's very cheap free. Yes, you can. There are some that out there that you can get. Simple. All right, I think that's all the questions for today. Again, hit the like button. Thanks so much for the support. Hopefully you guys got some value out of this. Each and every day I'm going to drop some nuggets on you guys to hopefully we could all become better traders together. Take care, everybody.